Coming up, take flight in the ultimate adventure airplane.
See the panel of the future, what it's like to fly a bizjet for the Air Force.
And another win in the fight against unreasonable FBO fees. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Build and fly with the Sonex Aircraft B models. The B models offer more room and comfort, more fuel, more panel space, more engine choices, and the same great Sonex Aircraft flight characteristics. Learn more at sonexaircraft.com.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haines and Melissa Redinger.
In the fight against unreasonable FBO fees, another victory, this time at what we're calling a self-help airport.
Heber City Municipal Airport in Utah is the closest airport to the resort town of Park City. And there's only one FBO on the field, and because of its customer service reputation and prices, it is among the most complained about in our extensive database of complaints. But we call it a self-help airport because the city of Heber is now taking steps to make things better at AOPA's urging. The city is issuing a request for proposals for a second FBO to provide competition on the airport. At least 2 companies want to apply.
And the FAA actually looks to the city sponsor or the sponsor of the airport to do the right thing because they know the local conditions and what's appropriate. It's really nice to see this movement finally starting to take place. You know, where you have the number of movements required to support 2 FBOs, that's really the best answer, or self-service or some other choices of public transient parking at reasonable or low costs makes sense to us because we don't want to pay for services that we don't need when we go to these airports and access these beautiful places around the country that we believe the public has a right to come to at reasonable costs. So competition is best. It always, in the backup, needs to be charted, reasonable places that we can have our transient parking. So, got to find a way, and we're not done with this.
You can find out more about AOPA's fight against egregious FBO prices on our website. Click on the FBO Fees tab at the upper left.
As we record this show, Hurricane Florence is building strength and taking dead aim at the Carolinas. By the time you watch this, the storm will likely be pounding the southeast and moving up the mid-Atlantic. First thing you should know, if your aircraft's in the path of the storm or is likely to get flooded, your insurance company may pay to move it out of harm's way. Check with your insurance agent, and if there's still time to move your airplane safely, do it. We have other tips for pilots on our website. And we know that millions of lives are going to be disrupted by this storm and the widespread flooding. So once again, Operation Airdrop is preparing to help. The volunteer relief organization formed after Hurricane Harvey. It coordinates efforts of general aviation pilots using their aircraft to fly needed supplies and relief workers to hard-hit areas. Operation Airdrop is lining up warehouse space in the Carolinas to stage relief supplies, and pilots are already signing up to help on their website. And Air Care Alliance is also coordinating general aviation activities. Get more details at aircarealliance.org.
So very busy Atlantic these days with other storms coming in behind us. So going to be possibly plenty of opportunities for GA pilots to help out.
Yeah, it looks like it may be a bad one. So if you haven't moved yet, make sure you do so. And we'll bring you the reporting afterwards.
Yes. But hey, if you're in the Southwest U.S., the weather for the weekend looks gorgeous, which means great weather for the AOPA fly-in to Santa Fe, New Mexico. Workshops and the Barnstormers party are Friday, and then things really get cooking on Saturday. Forecast highs are in the low 80s, which will mean a density altitude of about 8,600 feet at Santa Fe. Beautiful day, but at an elevation of more than 6,300 feet. Those temperatures are going to have an effect on your aircraft's performance.
And so with perfect timing, the Air Safety Institute has just released a new video on density altitude. It includes tips and advice on how to deal with the degraded aircraft performance that comes when flying where it's hot and high.
Fly light to avoid max gross weight and high-density altitude ramifications when dealing with an airplane already performing differently than you're used to. Determine proper fuel-air mixture. Fly indicated airspeeds. If rotation speed is 55 knots, don't try to rotate at 40 just because you're eating up more runway than usual. Fly early in the day when temperatures are cooler so performance will be better.
There's a lot more to learn from the full video. You can find it on our website. Click on the Air Safety Institute tab at the top of our homepage and then click on ASI Safety Notice. And if you're planning to fly to Santa Fe this weekend, please check the NOTAM and arrival procedures. You can find them on our website, including a video that gives you a pretty good overview of what to expect.
And just a few weeks after Santa Fe, we'll have our fly-in to Carbondale, Illinois on October 5th and 6th. And just like at Santa Fe, we'll have flyouts to destinations in the area. One flyout is to tour Scott Air Force Base near St. Louis. AOPA Live's Josh Cochran has a story about Scott and one of the important missions there.
For over 100 years, Scott Air Force Base has been home to a variety of missions that are essential to our nation's military.
The reason the base was built was because we needed to train pilots for World War I. So this was a World War I training base. We had standard J-1 aircraft originally, then we went to JN-4 Curtiss Jennies.
The aircraft at Scott have gotten a lot more advanced since the days of the Jennies. Now, one of the main missions at Scott is airlift using the C-21, the military version of the Lear 35.
We do DV transport as our primary mission here at Scott Air Force Base. And essentially with the DV transport, we take the 3- and 4-star generals of the Army, Air Force, and sometimes even Navy to and from their different meetings that they may have that affect major MAJCOM level decisions.
The C-21 has been around since the mid-'80s, but for these pilots, older means more fun to fly.
I like to think it's kind of like a 1980s Fox body Mustang. Okay, there's not a lot of technology. It's lightweight, it's really fast, no cruise control. It's a fun, sporty plane to fly, and I'm sure there's some people out there that would swear it's probably the best plane in the whole fleet.
For the pilots flying the C-21, the missions aren't just fun, they're also rewarding.
Honestly, in my opinion, this is probably the best job in the Air Force. We have a really good squadron of people, and then with the mission that we do, you kind of get to see your small impact of how you add to the mission.
And the C-21 doesn't just transport high-level military officials, it's also used for aeromedical evacuations.
The aeromedical evacuation missions are extremely rewarding to be able to work with the flight nurses and have more of the sense of a crew concept, as well as helping someone that's been injured to get back to their home and their families.
For the men and women who serve at Scott, the relationships with fellow service members is the best part of the mission.
We all have a same common goal to represent the Air Force, and it pushes you to be the best person you can be in a community that I would believe is second to none.
Visitors to Scott during the fly-in will get a chance to see that camaraderie and the airplanes in action. Josh Cochran, AOPA Live.
If you plan to come on the tour of Scott, make sure you sign up on our fly-in websites.
Coming up after the break, training in an Italian fighter jet.
Flying a Quest Kodiak on floats and flying with the Unpanel. You're watching AOPA Live this week.
You always knew it was your perfect airplane. Now it can have the perfect panel. Garmin G500 TXI and Garmin G600 TXI, the next generation of flight displays.
Welcome back. An aviation company in Texas just got approval to make your fighter jet pilot dreams come true. Victory Aviation just got FAA approval to conduct training in the Italian Marchetti S211. The Marchetti was designed as a military trainer and light attack aircraft. The company plans on offering basic familiarization training, upset training, and formation training in the jet.
And speaking of turbine-powered aircraft, I recently flew one that can go, well, just about anywhere. The ultimate adventure airplane, the Quest Kodiak, can go even more places on amphibious Aerocet floats. I recently flew this float Kodiak to a creek off the Chesapeake Bay to see how it feels in the air and on the water. Thanks to the smooth composite surface of the Aerocets, water landings feel like, well, touching down on a cushion.
It's just an amazing float. It has a huge sweet spot. It's very forgiving. It's got a deep V, but it goes to a flatter hull, so it's off the water time is very quick, but it still handles rough water very well. And overall, it's just a very forgiving float.
These composite Aerocets are also around 400 pounds lighter than metal floats. The smooth surface helps the Kodiak maintain excellent flying characteristics.
The Kodiak platform itself is extraordinarily stable on the floats in the air. You know, the airplane still flies at 162 knots true airspeed at altitude. It's the fastest float plane made on Aerocet floats. So overall, it's a wonderful flying airplane on wheels or on the floats.
Floats are just the beginning of what's different about this Kodiak. This airplane is a new Series 2 featuring a number of improvements that make the Kodiak feel even more refined than ever.
The Kodiak built today is vastly different than the Kodiak was in 2008. So the big upgrade for Series 2 is the Garmin NXI suite. So you get all of the great features that come with NXI, like Flightstream 510, the fast processing speeds, the Surface Watch.
With the Series 2 improvements and the Aerocet floats, the Kodiak is the ideal adventure airplane for taking a group of friends to splash around on the water. You can read more about the Kodiak Series 2 on floats in the October Turbine edition of AOPA Pilot Magazine. What a cool experience, I gotta say. And the Aerocet floats, I flew them on a 185 a while back as well, and they really do make a difference how they come off the water, much less drag it feels like, and really feels like they make a big difference on landing as well.
It even looked like it in the video, so you get to have all the fun.
Well, not all the fun, but I have
a lot of fun. And yet another entry in the EVTOL category, that's electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. A British startup has just flown its unmanned demonstrator. Vertical Aerospace says it's going to have a fully operational air taxi service by 2022. The actual air taxi will have a pilot. Most others in this arena are pursuing self-piloting aircraft. The company figures it will have an easier path to certification with a pilot. And if you think it's just startups playing in this category, think again. Airbus, Boeing, Bell, and others are working on urban air taxis.
And speaking of technology, 4Flight continues to innovate, adding more powerful tools to their EFB software. The latest update adds IFR clearances and digital ATIS via text. The text clearance feature replaces clearance delivery via radio, expediting IFR departures. The service is available at 76 airports and is included with 4Flight's Performance Plus and Business Performance subscription plans.
One benefit of experimental amateur-built aircraft is the ability to, well, experiment. So putting cutting-edge technology in a kit plane is a bit easier than in the certified world. That can often lead to innovation such as a Tesla screen for a glass cockpit display and eliminating the instrument panel altogether. AOPA Live's Paul Harrop explains.
It's the solution you never knew you needed. This is the Unpanel on the Zenith STOL CH750 Super Duty. It gives you extra visibility where you need it most.
It's really nice. You're taking off from a short strip, and you want to see everything. You got trees beside you, mountains or whatever, and you want to be able to see when you're taking off.
Without a traditional panel in the way, there's 15 to 20 degrees of extra visibility forward. Add that to the excellent visibility Zenith models are known for, and it feels more like a helicopter, even with the engine and prop in front of you. The Unpanel allows you to position it wherever you want.
And, the worst thing I hate is flying, some certified airplanes where the instrument panel is way up there. You can't even see over the panel. Well, this is nicer because there is no panel. Plus, I can move my panel in front of me. I can bring it closer to me, further from me. I can bring it to my passenger if he wants to visualize it, and I want to take a little nap on the cross country. Gives me a lot of leg room.
The factory demonstrator uses the Evolution system featuring the screen out of a Tesla electric car, but the articulating mount can function with Dynon, Garmin, or other glass displays. The processors are moved to below the right seat. Zenith's Roger Dubert says it's not just about the gee-whiz factor, but it's really designed to increase safety.
More visibility, the safer you're going to be, especially a bush airplane going in and out of short strips.
And with less in your way, you can focus more on flying the airplane. In Mexico, Missouri, Paul Harrop, AOPA Live.
It was actually a Zenith builder who came up with the idea. The Unpanel is available as an option for any Zenith line of kit aircraft. Learn more about the company in a future edition of AOPA Live.
And that's our show for this week.
And remember, we'd love to hear from you. Our email is aopalive@aopa.org, and thanks for watching.
The AOPA World MasterCard delivers generous cashback rewards in all of your favorite aviation categories, so you can do more of what you love, flying. And because every purchase helps to support general aviation, every cardholder is helping to protect the freedom to fly. Apply now for the AOPA World MasterCard, the best card for pilots.